Swayam Prabha. Digital India. Educated India.
Welcome dear learners. I am Dr. Manisha Goswami working at Institute of Business Management, GLA University, Mathura. Today we are going to start with another new course which is on Corporate Strategic Management. So dear students, as you must be knowing and must have witnessed a lot of time that fast changing business landscape. In this kind of a business landscape, do you think the competition is not prevailing? Do you think the different changes which particular organization is bringing is coming by accident, or it is just happening in the organization? No, it is a well-crafted strategy. They take a lot of pain in order to come up with the best strategy for the organization. So in this particular course, their students will try to dive deep into industry analysis, will try to understand what are the different components which really help in bringing the change in the understanding or the strategic decision making of the organization. How environment analysis becomes so important in terms of understanding the external environment, internal environment, and how they perform the SWOT analysis. So this very first lecture on the corporate strategic management will focus on understanding the concept of strategy and the evolution of the strategy. By the end of this lecture, dear students, I am hoping that you will be able to learn these many objectives. So these are 5 different learning objectives, and I am striving hard to make you understand the meaning of a strategy in the business context. Second, you will be able to understand the different phases in the development of the strategic management. Third, you will also appreciate the different emerging approaches in the strategic decision making. Fourth, you will understand how the different process is utilized or different steps are taken into consideration while framing a particular decision or taking a final decision for the organization. And fifth, you will also be able to understand the case of Apple. So dear student, let's start our first lecture on concept of strategy by understanding this very interesting quote that strategy is the art of winning the war without fighting. Winning a particular warfare, do you really think that organization needs to be very brutal in their force? No. Be it a warfare, be it a business, or it is for any landscape, you really need to be strategically correct for winning your position or for gaining your competitive position. Winning without fighting is the hallmark of a great strategy. While you are framing the strategy for your organization, you have to ensure that you are psychologically correct, you are intelligent enough, you are having an influential power, and you have positioned your strategy so well that it comes out to be a great competitive position, or it comes out to be a great competitive advantage for your organization. So while drafting the strategy, you don't need to be brutal in your force. You just need to be intelligent. You need to have an influential power. You need to have a right positioning understanding. You need to have a psychological tactics while framing the strategy for the organization. None of the organization I have seen ever are fighting physically. They are fighting with their intellectual power. Now let's try to understand the meaning of the strategy. Strategy refers to the long-term plan devised by an organization to achieve comparative advantage and successfully navigate a dynamic business environment. If you are framing a strategy, you need to have a holistic view, and at the same point of time, you cannot frame the strategy for a short-term perspective. And when you are trying to have a longer perspective and you are not looking for an immediate gratification of your organization requirements, then it is going to be a well-crafted and well-curated strategy of the organization. You need to think in advance about the future. You need to forecast what is going to happen in future. So the first very important characteristics while framing a strategy is that it focuses on long-term objective. You take an example of a Tesla. Tesla is now focusing more on renewable energies. They are focusing on electric car. They are focusing on finding out the sustainability in the environment. So this is how they are trying to be strategist in terms of coming up with the best strategy for the organization, which is going to pave their way for the longer time, not just for few years. It involves allocation of the resources, right? When you are framing the correct strategy in the organization, you also need to be very much clear about that what should be the right allocation of the resources. You take an example of Amazon. If Amazon has not rightly invested in technology, will they be able to come out as the best e-commerce company? I'm sure the answer is no. If they had not invested heavily upon the logistics and the supply chain management, will they be able to satisfy the customer? I'm sure the answer is no. So this also comes in understanding that what kind of organization I am running. You should have a fair understanding that what is really going to pave my way. My way is going to be paved by coming up with the better ecosystem, and for better ecosystem I need to invest heavily on technology. Secondly, I need to be very good in the logistics. Third comes align business activities with external opportunities and internal capabilities. Merely following what is happening in the trend will never be able to take your way. You have to understand what your internal capabilities are, what are your strengths, what are your weaknesses, and based on the understanding of your own organization's strength and weakness, you can take a right call that whether this particular opportunity I can avail or not, this particular threat is going to hamper me or not, right? So first assessment is very important, is about your internal capability, and the understanding of internal capability will lead you to understand your strength and weaknesses. These strengths and weaknesses are going to become a checklist for you to take a call whether a particular opportunity or threat can be taken into account or not. Next comes the required adaptability to changing environment. So if you don't change with the change in environment, you will perish. You can take an example of Nokia mobile phone. They were the biggest giant in the market, having 85% of control in the market. And they were perished just because they were not able to adapt themselves with the changing environment. The people were moving from the Symbian operating system to the Android operating system, but they failed to change their operating system, right? They didn't accept the change. They were considering themselves that they are the robust, they are the biggest giant in the market. They don't require any change. The customer loves their product like anything. But if customers are changing, their trends and preferences are changing, and you are not changing yourself, you will never be able to survive. No matter how big you are in the market, no matter how good control you have in the market, you won't be able to survive in the market. So for this, if you want to really survive in the market, what you need to have? You need to have an adaptability skills. You should be able to change yourself with the change dynamics. If you are not changing, you will perish no matter how big you are, like Nokia, like Kodak, like BlackBerry mobile phone. They were not able to survive because they were not able to adapt the change which is taking place in the market. And for adapting, what you need, the very first point which is mentioned here, that you need to have a long-term objective. If you have a long-term objective, you can foresee what are the trends going to come up in the near future, and this is really going to help you to go for adaptability to change in the environment. So dear students, next important aspect, that why strategies are important for the business. By the understanding of the meaning of strategy, and by understanding that strategy is nothing like putting some brutal force upon the other organization, it is about using your intellectual abilities, it's about using your psychological tactics, and that's how you create a difference in the mind, and this is how you create a strong positioning in the market, right? So keeping all those understanding in mind, let us move forward to the next slide, that is importance in the business. The first very important aspect comes is that it provides the direction. So the right strategy always focuses on coming up with the correct direction, right? So you need to understand that what kind of environment is moving around, or what kind of the challenges are taking place around, and based on that changes and the direction, you are going to give the direction to the top management. You as a top management will be giving directions to the workers working in the organization. So what comes first is providing the direction to the employees working in the organization. So as a top management of your organization, you will be setting the pace of your organization, you will be setting the direction, whether it is the time to go for the growth, right? You will be looking for the growth, or should be the direction for the stability, or you need to go for the retrenchment. So these could be the varied directions where a top management may look for giving to the different employees of the organization. So growth is going to, the direction of the growth would be given when you have lot of favorable conditions, when the conditions are favorable. When there are a lot of fluctuations, you will be going for the this stability. When unfavorable conditions are there, you will be going for retrenchment. Growth, when your strengths are maximum, opportunities are plenty, you should strive for further expansion of your company. When there are a lot of ups and downs in the market, you are not sure how market is going to take a move, you are not clear that whether your strengths are really going to pave your way, when you're finding the threats and the opportunities are of mixed blend, you're not able to really segregate them, it's a time to go for the stability. And under the stability strategy, you may opt for the no change strategy, you may opt for the profit making strategy, and you have to really try to find out that how I should come out from this fluctuating environment, or the environment which is not so predictable. And final, when things are absolutely beyond your control, like a lot of threats are there, a lot of weaknesses of your organizations are there, you have to go for the retrenchment. Under the retrenchment, the turnaround strategies are there, captive company strategies are there, there are liquidation, bankruptcy could also happen when you are failed to manage the unfavorable environment. Next comes is to enhance comparative advantage, right? If you are able to take the correct decision based on providing the correct directions to your organization, don't you think that your company will be able to take the comparative advantage when you are very clear and very sharp in terms of understanding the SWOT matrix of your organization? You are very clear that what are your strengths, what are your weaknesses, what are your opportunities, and what are your threats. You will be able to take a correct course of action, and those correct course of action will give you the competitive edge in the market, and that competitive edge will take you to enhance your competitive position in the market. So if you have a fair understanding, the further next important aspect comes in that it improves your decision making ability. Right, so you have a list of your strength, you have a list of your weakness, you have a list of opportunities, and you have a list of the threats. This is going to give you the clarity in terms of understanding that whether this particular strength really going to pave my way to encash this particular opportunity or not, or this particular weakness is going to be the hurdle for really executing this particular opportunity or not. So by having this understanding that my strength, suppose I am holding a huge strength in terms of managing the good logistic power, I am having a huge supply chain network, this particular strength I am holding, and there are a lot of opportunities of providing the courier services. So this particular opportunity and my strength is going to really match together, and I can take the decision of starting a company which is related to the courier service. So this will help me in taking the correct decision and ensures the sustainability, right? So because you are not taking a decision merely on basis of the short term, merely on the basis of immediate gratification, you are focusing on long term horizon, you are focusing on long term results, and that when you are focusing on long term result, you will never try to really break the branch where you are actually sitting or standing. So you will focus on bringing some sustainability concept. You will try to find out that this business should last for long, it should not harm the environment, and it should not harm the community by and large, because after all, whom I'm serving to the customer, I'm serving to the society, and if the society is not interested anymore in my product, who will be buying and how I will be able to gain my competitive position in that case? So ensuring sustainability will also become a heart of taking the correct decisions in the organization, and correct decisions of the organization largely depends on what correct direction to the organization, and that all leads to what comparative advantage in the market. So in nutshell, in terms of understanding the importance of business organization, first prime focus comes on understanding the sustainability concept. What are the things which are sustainable, which are really going to help me to last in the market for longer span of the time? and having this understanding of sustainability development goals and having an understanding about the entire ecosystem, how really the entire ecosystem functions and works, you will be taking a correct decisions. And if you really want to take the correct decision, you need to have a fair understanding about this different types of the corporate level strategy, like growth strategy or the stability strategy and the retrenchment strategy. All this will lead to take you to the comparative advantage in the market. As an example here, the Apple strategy revolve around innovation, premium branding and ecosystem integration by continuously developing high quality user friendly product like Mac, iPhone, iPad, and ensure the customer loyalty and high profit margins are intact. Now let's move on to understand the different phases of the development of the strategic management, how actually the strategy management concept came into being, right? Initially, in the early 1960s, there was a term of basic business planning. There was no such term like strategic management. People used to perform a simple basic financial planning where the focus is on short-term budgeting and financial control. And the nature was more of reactive than proactive. That means they were focusing on what had happened. Now let me try to find out how to overcome the thing which had happened, right? Reactive. You are reacting to such certain problem. You are reacting to certain situation. You are not thinking in advance that if this may happen, what I will do. So early days in 1960s, people were comparatively more reactive as compared to proactive, and they used to do only short-term budgeting and financial control. Then moving on to 1970s, people developed a little ability of forecasting, and they try to understand there are a lot of glitches in the previous model that we were just thinking once the problem had occurred. We were not thinking in advance. Now they started thinking in advance. They are trying to become more market research oriented. So the focus is on long-term planning using the forecast and the trend analysis, and they start emphasizing on the market research. Then comes the externally oriented planning, where they align the business operation with the market force and competition, and the comparative strategy becomes the crucial part and a crucial aspect. In the 1980s, they started positioning themselves in comparison to their competitors. Now the monopolistic situation has gone down and there is a perfect competition in the market. A lot of other people, a lot of other companies have started coming up in the market. They started doing business. As a result, there is a need to differentiate my product as compared to the other company product. So they start aligning their business operation with the market force like demand and supply and the competition in the market. They started putting their product little unique, and they started using USP in order to catch the attention of the customer towards their product, and that's how they started gaining the competitive position in the market. And then finally, the 1990s until now, people started using the term strategic planning instead of externally oriented planning. Now their continuous improvement, innovation and agility is leading towards more holistic view towards the organization, and they are now more capable of coming up with a better direction for the organization, and they are in a position to come up with better corporate strategic management. Nature is to integrate digital transformation, global expansion, corporate social responsibility. So they are not just focusing on one aspect, that is profit maximization. Now they have shifted and diverted their move from pure profit maximization objective to the wealth maximization, where the corporate social responsibility is also taking a large seat. Now moving towards the next important aspect, that is emerging approach in strategic management. So far, we try to understand the meaning of a strategy, then we understood the importance of strategy in the business, and then we try to see how exactly the strategic management concept has evolved from 1960s to till date. Now we are focusing on emerging approach in strategic management. So these are some of the buzzing words nowadays in the strategic management. The first one is your agile strategy. It emphasizes flexibility, adaptability in decision making. That means if you try to be very rigid in your thought process and you become or if you become so emotional about your product and you are not ready to incorporate the views or opinion of other people, you will not be able to take the correct decisions. So if you want to take a correct decisions, you really want to catch the maximum opportunities or grab the maximum opportunities, or you really want to sense out the various threats of the environment, then you need to have a very agile approach towards framing of the strategies. So it focuses on being flexible. Your thought process, your acceptance of other people view, your acceptance towards the customer opinion, your acceptance towards the employee opinion, your acceptance towards the different stakeholder opinion, really going to enrich you in your thought process and help you to take the correct decisions, because ultimately the people who are giving the decision, who are giving the responses to you, are the customer of yours. They are the part and parcel of this environment. And if you are getting some senses or signals from those people, then why don't you accept their opinion and take the correct decision based on their opinion, rather than thinking in isolation or in the closed room. Used by tech firms like Google, Amazon, Spotify, they are adapting a very flexible system in the model. The next is scenario planning, that is predicting multiple future scenario to prepare for uncertainties. For example, oil companies or some of the shell companies to provide different oil price fluctuations, or to really avoid themselves from the price fluctuations which usually come because of some geopolitical tense situation, or maybe some government issues or the clashes between the two parties. So scenario planning, you need to have some plans in your hand. If A plan, B plan, C plan, and these three different plans should be based on some or the other different situations. So you need to visualize the different situations, the current situation, some of the past situations, or the emerging situation, or what is happening in the global market, how the different countries are reacting to the different competition, or maybe the government relation, or maybe the customer trends, or the preferences, or the advancement technology, right? So these are the different factors which can affect the behavior of a particular country, and none of the country is surviving in isolation. We all depend on each other because of globalization. So as a result, you will be having an ample of opportunity to get the required information from the different nations also. You should not solely think about your own country. You should also look at to other countries, what these different countries are doing if certain kind of a situation had happened to that country, right? If the price war is happening, then how the other country had reacted to the price war. If some customers trend and behavior is changing, then how other country had reacted to this. So you will get some information from the different nations, how they are handling the different tough situations in their own country. You can get an idea, and based on that idea you can frame your own decisions, keeping your country law and order, keeping your country customer taste and preferences, keeping your country technology advancement. You can also define and refine your decision making. So you need to have a scenario planning approach also, rather than having one-sided approach. The next is your digital transformation, like leveraging AI, big data, cloud computing for the strategic advantages. You should not feel ashamed that why I should adopt the technology. You should not feel like this is nothing of my use, right? If something is going to really pave your way, if something is helping you out, if something is really saving your time, then why not to accept it as an essential tool to leverage your business or to leverage the different profit margins. If you can reduce your per unit cost of production by making use of some AI or some cloud computing or some better advanced technology, why not to make use of? Ultimately, you will be serving a customer with comparatively lower cost of the product, which will really help the customer to gain attention towards your product, and you will be able to position your product better as compared to your competitors, and you will gain an edge over your competitors. So always try to upgrade your system or your production unit or your working style with the advancement in the technology. For example, Netflix earlier used to just provide the DVD rental system. Now they are providing the online streaming. If they were not able to change themselves, do you really think Netflix was able to survive? They could sense out the market is changing and they quickly adapt themselves with the advancement and Netflix transformation from DVD rental to global streaming platform. And Netflix could also mention that we were the big giant in DVD rental. The customers have no choice other than us. Then they would not be able to survive. This is what happened in case of Nokia. This is what happened in case of Kodak. This is what happened in case of BlackBerry, right? They were in a false notion that, and they were not admitting and accepting that customer taste and preferences are changing, and I should also get change, or I should also change my system as per the change in customer taste and preferences. But they failed. And here Netflix successfully did it, and they are having a huge control over the infotainment sector. Now, what are the strategic decision making process? What are the different steps in the strategic decision making? So first, what you need to do when you are looking for taking a strategic decision, first your objective should be very clear. For what reason? And for getting the purpose of understanding of objective, you should be very much clear about the vision of your organization and the mission of your organization. So these two, mission and vision statement, will lead you to understand the objective, that what should be the correct objective of my organization, right? If my vision, what do we mean by the term vision? That where you really want to see yourself 5 years down the line, 10 years down the line, that's what come under the vision statement. Most of the organizations set their vision like by 2030 we want to be absolutely carbon free, we will be carbon neutral, right? We will not be emitting carbon much, which is really harming the environment, and global warming is happening. So people have set their vision that by 2030 or by 2047 we will try to become a carbon neutral. So if somebody is mentioning this way, that means they are setting their vision. Then next is your mission. Mission talks about your reason of existence, why this company came into being, for what reason, what you are serving, what you are providing to the society, right? Say for example, any academic institution, their mission might be to provide a pool of engineers, managers, pharmacists. So this is the reason by which they have established the academic institution. So if you have a clarity that where I want to see myself 5 years down the line, 10 years down the line, or for what reason I am existing, then only you will be in a position to really frame out the objective, because objective is really going to help you to attain your vision and your mission. Analysis of the environment. How you're going to analyze the environment? For analyzing the environment, you should understand both external environment and the internal environment. Under the external environment, what comes? The macro environment, and the micro environment. And the internal environment is the analysis of the resources of the company, structure of the company, and the culture of the company. So by understanding all these three things, you will try to understand the internal environment, and you will also be able to understand that how these things are leading to fair understanding about the strength and weaknesses of the organization. And the understanding of macro and micro environment will lead you to understand the opportunities and the threats. So while analyzing the environment, you really need to dive deep. Merely stating that I am seeing the things around me and I have a complete sense that how customer behave, I have a complete understanding that how technology is advancing, is really not going to help you to take the corrective course of action. That kind of information is very shallow. You need to broaden your perspective. You really need to dive deep into each and every aspect to really come up with the concrete outcome, that this is the strength of my organization, or this is the weakness of my organization, this is the opportunity, this is the threat. The moment you are in this position, the moment you reach to this position of clearly listing out the strength, weakness, opportunities and threat, you will be in a position to take the correct decisions for your organization. Otherwise, you won't be able to take the correct decision. And then for taking the correct decision, again, you will be having a list of the things. These are the list of opportunities, these are the list of threats, these are the list of weaknesses and the strength. Then every opportunity cannot be in cash. and every strength cannot be utilized for a single project. So you have to be very selective and very mindful while taking a call that which particular strength I am going to make use in order to grab this particular opportunity. Out of n number of opportunities which are prevailing in the environment, I have to see which particular strength of mine really going to help me to encash the particular opportunity. So for this, you need to be very selective, you need to be very mindful, you need to have a fair understanding and confidence about your own strength, and you should be able to visualize that which particular strategy will take you to be a future leader in the market. And then based on that, you will be taking a call that this particular strategy I will be selecting out of the various. So the case study of the Tesla strategic pivot, that Tesla initially focused on luxury electric cars, but later expanded into energy solutions like a solar panel energy storage, because they started focusing on being more sustainable. Right, this diversification strategy helped Tesla become a global leader in sustainable technology. Now let's look into the case study of the Apple and try to see how Apple really took the advantage of being the strategist as compared to the other mobile sector companies. Now in this particular case of the Apple, initially when Apple was launched in the year 1976, they were primarily focusing on computers. They were not looking at the consumer electronic products. So they were primarily focusing on computers. In the year 1976, Apple I entered into the PC market, that's a personal computer, the desktop market, and they started serving the customer with a lot of different best features. In 1984, they come up with Macintosh was launched, differentiation through user-friendly design, and in 1997, Steve Jobs came back and he understood that he's offering around 300 plus different products, 300 different units, and none of them is giving a required result. So he started analyzing that I am making a wrong choice. I should rather focus on my best areas rather than trying to provide the single roof for all the options to my customer. So on the basis of that, he started again, this is what I recently mentioned, he started focusing on what? The strength of my organization. This was the prime focus. Prime focus on what? Strength of my organization. The moment he started focusing on the strength, he started listing out that there are certain products which are of less use, which are not matching with my strength. I'm just forcing myself to produce those products because I want my customer should not go without the product. But if your products are not having those features which customer is really looking for, and if the product which you are producing is not matching with your strength, will you be able to provide some distinctive positioning, or will you be able to provide a feature which your competitor cannot provide? Answer is no. So you need to see what your strengths are, and based on your strength, if you are offering a product, that particular product is going to be so unique, is going to be differentiated, and this is going to be a product which your competitor cannot offer, and you can get an edge over your competitors easily. But you have to be mindful about your strength. If you are not mindful about your strength, you are just following the trend, what is happening in the environment, and you are just focusing on what, that let me also produce it because my competitor is also producing, let me also produce it. My competitor is targeting this particular segment, let me also target to this particular segment. This kind of approach will never take you anywhere. You will rather end up with lot of chaotic situation, you will rather end up with lot of costs involved into this production unit, and you don't know where you are heading your business to, what kind of direction you are giving to your organization. You will not get any clarity of it. So for this, what you need to do, you need to have a fair understanding about your strength, and strength is really going to take you to this call, that how to encash the opportunities. How to encash the opportunities. And this is what Steve Jobs did in the year 1997. And they started thinking that let me also come up with my own processors rather than solely relying on Intel. They come up with their own microchips like M1, M2. They try to develop their own processors instead of relying to Intel. They come up with the closed ecosystem instead of having an open-ended ecosystem. They come up with the closed ecosystem approach, where if you are buying a MacBook, and if you have certain features you really want to make use of the MacBook, you should have an iPhone. If you are using an iPhone, you should have the iPad, right? So this kind of closed ecosystem they were creating, and Apple TV, Apple TV and Apple Watch, all these are coming under the closed ecosystem. And then in the year 2007, they started realizing that instead of solely relying on the computer, they will not be able to move their business to a bigger market requirement, and they were able to understand their strengths are also relying on more on consumer electronic products rather than just being into the computer. So they changed Apple Computer Incorporation name into Apple Incorporation, where they try to come up with some more consumer electronic products, primarily the Apple phone, iPad, laptops, and even the Apple Watch and Apple television. Now in 20s, they are focusing more on AI, how AI can really help them to integrate their entire ecosystem more effectively and can help them to gain the comparative position as compared to the different competitors in the segment. And they are also planning to be carbon neutral. Now let's try to understand what lessons we have learned from the Apple case study, that they are focusing on continuous innovation. It's never like this for the Steve Jobs or the people with whom he has started the Apple computer, that we are the big giants. We are serving the company with 300 different products. Instead of that, they were still ready to question themselves that despite of all these 300 different products, I am not able to gain what I should gain in the market. I'm still not able to gain a huge responses from the customer. I'm talking of the era when Apple mobile phone, iPad were not launched. It was basically the earlier market when the Apple was only offering the computers. So they evolve into this understanding that we need to continuously innovate. We need to come up with what exactly the customer is looking for and what exactly my strength area is, so that I can come up with a better product for my customer, instead of just having a ego system or even having a false belief that my company is a big company offering 300 products and can serve the customer. If customer are not buying, it's their fault, right? And I'm not able to gain the competitive position. It's all the corruption in the market. You should not blame other, rather you should blame yourself. You should try to find out your weak areas, your gray areas, and work on those areas. And if you start working on your gray area, you will eventually come up with a better product which really is a need or demand of a customer, as we can see in case of Apple phone, we can see in case of Apple Watch, we can see in case of Apple iPad. All these are the large selling products of the Apple in the market. And that's how you build the strong brand positioning. You need to create a strong ecosystem, and that ecosystem will help you to create a strong brand positioning in the mind of your consumer and the segment you are targeting. So ecosystem is going to really pave your way, because once the customer started making use of Apple iPhone, they will end up buying with Apple Watch. They will also end up buying iPad. So once they start making use of iOS, they become addict to that iOS ecosystem, and they'll continue to make use of the other products, and that's how the sale of other products will also take place. And this is what known as brand extension. But you need to be mindful when you are focusing on the brand extension. If any product out of all is not doing well, is also going to hamper the image. So if any one product is doing well, it's going to create a very positive image in the mind of the customer. If any product is not doing well, it is going to hamper the image. So vice versa is going to happen here. Apple's strategic evolution showcased its ability to adapt, innovate, create a long-term competitive advantage by focusing on differentiation, ecosystem integration, like continuous innovation. Apple has transformed from niche niche computer company to a global technology powerhouse. One thing everyone should learn, that you should not lose your heart if your products are not doing in the market. You should rather be very much focused in understanding what are your strength area. There must be some or the other strength in a person or in an organization. You should try to find out that particular area where you are holding a strength. The moment you got to know about your strength area, you will surely be able to find the way how you can curate the entire strategy, how you are going to draft the entire strategy to gain the competitive position, and how to create a strong influential image in the market. So this is what Apple did. Despite of all the failure, despite of all lows time of in the life of the Steve Jobs, despite of all tough time, he able to bounce back with the right strategy in the market. Now there are certain reflections, and I must request my all learners to really reflect upon these concern area, that how has Apple adapted its strategy over the time, right? What exactly they did in order to come out from the tough time, what different analysis of the product features or the customer mindset understanding, trend and preference understanding, advancement of technology understanding, global market presence understanding, what exactly really helped Steve Jobs to take the correct course of action despite of all lows, despite of all failure. So the first question for you all, my dear learner, how has Apple helped or Apple adapted in strategy over the time? The next question, which is for you to better understand, is the key component of successful business strategy. Not only in case of Apple, but in a general sense, you will be in a position to understand the essential key component which will take your organization to grow faster, which will take your organization to flourish, and which will help your organization to sustain for longer span of the time. Because growing is not that tough. Sustaining and holding that position is really tough. So if you have a fair understanding about the essential key components for a successful business strategy, you will be able to understand how I'll be able to hold on my position, significant position or competitive position in the market for longer span of the time. Next come, which phase of a strategic management is most important for the startups, right? So is it a introductory phase is very important, or a growth phase of a business is very important, or a saturation decline, because it is going to come little later. But when you are a startup, ideally you should focus more on positioning your product to the right segment. First, identify your segment, target your product so that it get positioned in the mind of a customer well, and then you are really going to enjoy the outcomes of the efforts which you have put up in identifying your STP, segmentation, targeting and positioning. So these are three essential points you should reflect upon. You should go back and have a deep understanding and thorough understanding upon them. Now today's poll, that what is the first phase of a strategic management? It was forecast based planning, or it was basic financial planning, or strategic management? I'm sure you have an answer of it. Take a pause and try to recall the lecture that in 1960s, which particular strategy, what is the actual style of framing the strategy in the market? Is it forecast based, or it was financial planning, or it is strategic management? I'm sure you people have an answer that it is true. So which company successfully shifted from DVD rental to streaming, online streaming? And if they fail to do it, that means they are just following the old trend of companies like Nokia, Kodak, BlackBerry. But instead of that, they learn from the failure of big giants and become so clear in their approach that they quickly shifted from DVD rental to online streaming and become a big infotainment industry, big part of the infotainment industry, that is Netflix. Now let us quickly review the different topics that we had discussed today. The first is, strategy is a long-term plan that evolve with the market conditions. Right? So if you are having a very shallow or you are looking for an immediate gratification, I'm sure you won't be able to take your organization for a long way. And if you really want to see your organization to run and last for a longer span of the time, and it should be the sustainable organization, then you have to have a very broader view of looking at the market. Instead of primarily focusing on profit, you should focus on creation of a wealth. Next phase of strategic management were discussed, which is ranging from financial planning to the continuous innovation and finally landing up to the strategic management. So earlier the people were very reactive, that if some problem occurs, they used to take a corrective course of action based on the problem. Nowadays people started thinking in the line of direction, if something happened wrong, then how I should be able to save my organization. That means they are very proactive. Before the problem occurs, they are sensing out, they are trying to come up with the solution, no matter the problem has not yet occurred, but they are presuming, if this happened, what I will be doing, how I will be saving my organization. So this approach of strategic management is really bringing a change in the mindset. It is bringing a change in the psychological tactics. It is bringing a change in the intelligence level of our top level people, those who are really framing the corporate strategies of the organization. Now the next thing which we discuss is the emerging strategic approach, which is from agility, digital transformation and the scenario planning. Agile, being an agile, that means you are trying to be very flexible. You don't want to be rigid in terms of your opinion, your viewpoint. You are trying to bring you are trying to incorporate the viewpoint of each and every person who is a substantial part of the society, and based on their viewpoint you are taking a corrective course of action. That is agility. And then digital transformation, you should not shy of accepting the advancement of technology. You should not feel that you are laggard and you are accepting somebody else's success. It should not be the thought process. Rather, you want to survive in a market for a longer span of the time, then you should accept the digital transformation. You should accept the advancement of technology and brought the changes, subsequent changes in your production system, brought the subsequent changes how you are managing your manpower in the organization and whatnot. Next is your scenario planning. Always have some multiple scenarios in your hand, right? So that if something, scenario 1 is not working, then scenario B will help you. If scenario B is not helping, then scenario C will be helping you out. So you need to have some scenario planning, because market is not static. Market is very dynamic. It's ever changing. The only certain thing about environment that it is highly uncertain. So if you are not ready for the uncertainties or the contingencies, again, the failure is standing at your threshold. So if you really want to combat with this failure, you need to have multiple scenarios in your hand, and you should look at the global market, you should look at the geopolitical situations, and based on that take the learnings from them, and based on that you can take a corrective decisions. Next is your effective decision making, and for this you need to have a structural analysis of the entire environment. You should have a fair understanding about the external environment. You should know about the macro environment. You should have a fair understanding about the micro environment, that we will be discussing in the upcoming lectures in much more detail. But for now, you should understand the environment is classified under two heads. One is internal environment, second is external environment. And external environment is further bifurcated in two parts. One is macro and micro. So all these environment analysis will give you an holistic view of that how I should take a call of action in order to combat a particular threat which is emerging out from the environment. Right, and you should be adaptable also. You should be flexible. This is what mentioned here, that agility should be the emerging issue, but you need to be really adaptable in terms of accepting the new emerging concepts. Apple case study was also discussed. I told you that how from just a computer manufacturing company they become a computer plus a consumer electronic product company. How they able to understand the shift in the taste and preferences of the customer, that now no more people are in need of a computer. They don't like a big huge desktop. They want everything should be there in their mobile phone. They very swiftly change their landscape of doing the production from the desktop to the laptop, and then from laptop to a phone, iPad and iPhone, all these shifts are keeping in mind the tastes and preferences of the customer, because ultimately I as a founder, like a late Steve Jobs, must be thinking that I as a founder, for whom I'm producing a product, I'm producing a product for the customer, and if customer themselves are not liking the product which I'm offering, for what sake I'm producing this product? So out of all 300 different products, he started shortlisting them out, that these things are no more in need by the customer. I have to find out a product which is really in need by the customer. So dear student, for further reading, you can refer this book of Charles W.L. Hill and latest edition, which was recently published in the year 2020. That's a 13th edition. So dear students, as we have just reviewed all the different topics that we had discussed today, let me tell you that one very important aspect while framing the strategy, that you should have a fair understanding that strategy is having three different levels, strategy levels. One is the corporate strategy, second is the business strategy, and third one is the functional strategy. Let me make you understand that what is the corporate strategy, what is the business strategy, and what is the functional strategy. Whenever the top management of the organization is framing a strategy, they will be framing the corporate strategy. When a middle level management is framing a strategy, what they are doing, they are framing the business strategy. And a functional level people, or you can say the operational level people, if they are framing a strategy, they are framing a functional strategy. So by now, by the end of this first lecture, dear students, you have an understanding that strategy is a master plan of action. Strategy is the art of winning the war without actually fighting it. But who are the people or whose mind is actually behind the strategy are top management, middle level management people, and even the functional level management people. So you should have the understanding of this pyramid, that who are framing what. The corporate strategy is framed by the top management. So when corporate strategies are framed by the top management, what they are exactly doing it, they are trying to develop the growth mindset among the people, or they are developing a stability mindset among the people, or they might be developing a retrenchment mindset of the people. As I mentioned in the previous slide, that growth strategies are going to be adopted when all favorable conditions are there. Stability strategies are going to be adopted when fluctuations are happening in the market, and the retrenchment strategy is going to be adopted when there are a lot of unfavorable conditions. What do we mean by unfavorable conditions, students? Unfavorable conditions are those when political environment is not supporting, economical environment, maybe there is some recession, downfall in the economy. Because of that, there is a unfavorable condition posing out towards your organization. This could be the unfavorable condition. Socio-cultural environment, the customer trend, taste and preferences are changed. This could also be the unfavorable condition. Technology advancement, and you are failed to adapt your system with the advancement of technology. That could also be the unfavorable condition. So if any of these unfavorable conditions are posing a difficulty upon the organization, then top management people are going to take the retrenchment corporate strategy. On the contrary side, if things are very favorable, like socio-cultural environment are matching with the product which I am offering, the customer tastes and preferences are exactly what customer is demanding, I am having a product to offer to them, then this is a favorable condition for my organization. Suppose the advancement in technology, and I have a very new system in my organization, and this entire new system is adapted with the new advancement of technology, then this will become a very favorable point for me. My per unit cost will be lesser than my competitors or the people who are into this business for so many years, because they are using the old technology, and I have recently started my business with the new technology. So the per unit cost of my product as compared to the old bees of this particular sector will be very high as compared to my product. So I will be able to get the favorable responses from the customer. So, and then I can go for the growth strategy. Despite of being a new entrant in the market, I can go for the growth strategy, like Ola, Uber. They are the best examples of they are the new in the market and they started creating a huge buzz among the people, and they become a big giant in the market over the fraction of years. Then next is your business strategies. The top management are framing the corporate strategy, where they try to focus on growth, stability and retrenchment. Thereafter comes the middle level management. Middle level management frame the business strategies, and for framing the business strategy, the purpose is to simplify the complexity of the corporate strategy. Because sometimes the top management people, when they are framing or curating their corporate strategy, it becomes a little complicated statement for the lower level people who are the real executors to understand what exactly the top management is expecting them to do. So the middle level management people have to really play the role. They are the one who will simplify the complexity of the corporate strategy, so that each and every functional head or the operational head people can understand what exactly is expected them to perform in the organization. So they are the people who will simplify the complexity of the corporate strategy, and under the business strategy we need to understand the two important aspects. One is the cost leadership, second is the differentiation. This is the very well known model of a Michael Porter, comes under the competitive advantage. So middle level people are simplifying the complexity. For whom? The functional level people. And once the things are clear from the corporate level to the business, and then from business to the functional level people will try to see how exactly I am going to execute the strategy, what is expected from the top management. And with the help of the middle level management, they get the clarity that which particular department of the entire organization has to perform what. Like procurement department, what they have to do, production department, what they exactly have to do, the marketing department, when they have to really do the marketing, what is their segment, how they are going to target, how they are going to position their product. Everything is well drafted, well curated in advance, and they just have to perform what is expected from them to be performed, right? And nothing is going to be in their whimsicals or in their thought or in their opinion. Everything is coming out with based on some evidence or the facts of the market, right? So based on the complete analysis of the environment, the top management people set the corporate strategy. Once the corporate strategies are set, they will be creating the business strategy. The purpose of business strategy is to minimize the complexity and bring the clarity among all the functional head. And once the functional head get the indication that this is what is supposed to be done, they started working on what? The very important aspect, that is execution. And my dear student, I must tell you, most of the strategies get failed because of what? Poor execution. If execution is poor, no matter how many years you have invested, no matter how hard you tried to come up with the best strategy, your strategy will fail because execution was poor. And who are the people behind the poor execution? The functional level people or the lower level department of the organization, where the production heads, marketing head, logistic heads, the procurement head, right? These people are working. They fail to really understand what is expected them to perform. So my dear learners, I'm sure you people have understand that why people are so much curious about understanding of environment. I'm sure you have also understood that once the environment analysis is done, then based on that, correct formation of a strategy is important, and equally execution is very important. Not merely framing a strategy will take your way. Right understanding to the people who are really going to execute the strategy is also very important. If they are not clear that what exactly is expected, there are a lot of ambiguity among the people, it will lead to the poor execution, and the poor execution will lead to the failure of a strategy. No matter how many years and crores of money you have invested, your strategy will be of no use. So with this note, I end this lecture, and with the urge that you will dive deep into the books and try to come up with better understanding of the concept that we had discussed today. Thank you.